On Spotlight this weekend, we're being joined by Palestine's ambassador to the European Union, Ambassador Adel Atieh. Many thanks for joining us, sir, here on World Today. Let's begin with the entire... Thank you. Let's begin with the entire swap deal between Israel and Hamas. How is Palestine viewing this deal? The fact that there's only a 4-day pause, is that really enough? How are you looking at the forward movement in de-escalation of tensions?
Yeah, first of all, this is a very welcome move. For the first time in 49 days, our population in Gaza waked up without the ground being shaking by the Israeli bombs. For the first time since 49 days, they wake up without the sky raining bombs on their heads. And for the first time, the kids could go to sleep without fear that they will be killed by the Israeli bombardment. Of course, this is not enough. Of course, our objective, we are pushing for a permanent ceasefire. Israel has to stop this killing. Israel has to stop bombing the heavily populated civilian areas in Gaza. This is unacceptable for the Palestinian people. It is unacceptable for the Palestinian Authority as well.
Well, this is just the first phase. We are looking at a swap between 50 and 150 in return for 120 Palestinian prisoners. How do you see the second phase from here on? Because they still have a lot of hostages and they are still working. Qatar, the United States of America are working towards release of all these hostages. This, Ambassador, even as Netanyahu says that they will continue their operations against Hamas irrespective of what happens in this truce that we're looking at in the first phase.
Well, this is the Israeli strategy. The solution to the conflict with Hamas has never been a military solution. Israel has tried 5 wars, 5 attacks against Gaza, and the problem has never been solved. It is a political solution. This is number one. Number two, that it's good that hostages will be released. Just remember that hostages in both sides will be released. Israeli hostages captured by Hamas and Palestinian prisoners captured by Israel. We are against holding hostages by anybody, and Israel needs to release the Palestinian. We have 7,000 Palestinians in the Israeli prisons, and this is also unacceptable. We have been negotiating with Israel for the last 30 years to release one single Palestinian prisoner. Israel has never accepted to negotiate with us, and today, in an exchange of prisoners with Hamas, Israel was forced to release some of our women and some of our children that it holds in its detention centers. We hope that this humanitarian pause will continue to allow people to provide with food, with electricity, with water, with medicine, and we hope that this truce will be extended by release of a bigger number of Palestinian hostages in Israel and by the Israeli hostages or captured people in Gaza. What we need is to work for a permanent ceasefire that will save lives everywhere.
Right. Ambassador, you're in Brussels as somebody who's dealing with the European Union. Your response to the international community, particularly the West and Europe's reaction and response to Palestinians' pleas, to Israel's response, are you disappointed? Is Palestine disappointed?
Well, yes, the EU position regarding the Israeli aggression is very much disappointing because it shows how much the EU is dealing in double standards. When it comes to the Ukraine issue, the EU stands strong against with the Ukrainian population that suffers a kind of occupation of its land, as the EU says. But on the other hand, it stands strong beside an occupying power. And the EU position, let me say that it encouraged Israel to continue this indiscriminate bombing of civilian infrastructures in Gaza. So our position here as a Palestinian diplomacy is to push the EU to correct its position in order to fulfill its moral and political commitments and to call for a permanent ceasefire.
Ambassador Adel Atieh, many thanks for joining us here on World Today.